trust me, gay is in, gay is hot. I want some gay, gay it's gonna be.
The Wrestling Life.
Hey everybody, it's The Wrestling Life. It's episode 411. It's June 2025. We have a lot of wrestling to talk about. I'm Ethan.
Welcome back, crap fans. I'm Liam.
Liam, so much wrestling to talk about, and of course, as always,
so much wrestling we cannot talk about on the first and only wrestling podcast.
So we missed last week due to a scheduling conflict, and so we didn't get to talk about AEW Double or Nothing as it happened, but they've pressed on. The amount of AEW continues to increase. There's a 4-hour Dynamite this week. There's a 4-hour Dynamite next week. And they're on the road to All In. WWE has 2 shows this coming Saturday. They have the AAA WWE Worlds Collide show in the afternoon on Saturday. And then Money in the Bank is Saturday night. We've missed like 23 news cycles in not doing a show in 2 weeks. So probably the biggest story of the last week here is WWE releasing or not renewing R-Truth or Carlito's contracts. And the internet was just outraged. R-Truth's contract was not going to be renewed. What are your thoughts on R-Truth and Carlito being released or not renewed? That's an important distinction. They used to cut people. Now they just don't renew them.
True. That is a complete distinction. And obviously worth pointing out because like the people that we talked about a month ago, like Shotzi and them, those people were released, I believe. The Truth and Carlito were not. So yeah. I mean Carlito, duh. He's been back for 2 years. Literally his first night in, which I think was technically before he was signed, when he showed up on that Puerto Rico show, was the peak. He got Steve Austin in 1999 pop to come save Bad Bunny, and then did nothing for 2 years. Collected a paycheck, barely wrestled, barely talked, was just hanging out, and good for him. As you have pointed out to me, I think off the air a few times, maybe it was in some ways a make good for Triple H killing his career. There's a few of those guys bouncing around in various levels of WWE these days. But regardless, yeah, that's not a surprise. He was not heavily utilized, and I assume he's making a lot more than, Xander Himbo or whoever the next NXT call up will be that you can slot in there. Truth is just like because to a certain generation of fan, he is like an institution because he's literally been on the show their entire lives in some form. I understand why that one's a bit more surprising. I was not personally outraged because I don't really think R-Truth brings a lot to wrestling in the modern era, and really probably hasn't in several years. I understand he was very well liked in the locker room, and maybe you could say that he's just a morale guy. He's a locker room guy, like the Good Brothers. Just people like having him around, and so let's keep Truth around for that reason, I guess. But WWE's run like a private equity firm now, and paying a guy, mid to high 6 figures to just hang out because other people like him, that's not how TKO does business. And I'm not even saying they should, because again, I don't really R-Truth being gone from the weekly WWE television. I know it's weird to say this because he was literally just feuding with John Cena 2 weeks ago, which is maybe the only reason this is like treated as such a shock. But yeah, he's in his he's in his 50s and he doesn't offer a whole lot, and he was probably making more money again than whoever the next guy in NXT you can call up, or hey, whenever Joe Hendry's contract is up and he can be slotted into the comedy buffoon role officially in this company, you'll have him. So you don't need R-Truth anymore, or at least that's how WWE missed it. I don't know. Am I being too flippant here? Like, I don't want to be rude, but like, why was R-Truth like this firebomb of Twitter outrage? Like, I feel like I missed something.
I I feel like it's stoked by some of the very online wrestling website personality types,
Hmm.
like some of the folks that run Fightful, for example,
Hmm.
who talk to probably a younger generation of WWE talent that came up through the Performance Center system. And R-Truth has been on the main roster their entire careers. And maybe other newsmakers maybe don't talk to that generation, and so it's not a big deal when mid card Ron Killings gets non-renewed in decade 3.5 of his WWE career, you know? I feel like
Right.
that's part of it. I feel like there's a segment of the internet wrestling fan base that is illiterate and uh, and and just sees uh funny cartoon guy dancing on TV, doesn't understand what a horrible caricature R-Truth was used as by the Vince McMahon regime for a decade and a half because he made Vince McMahon laugh.
He messed up a
Um,
city's name
you
in
know,
2010, and that was it for him.
yes. So I don't know. I probably share a lot of your same thoughts and feelings about this. I also don't think businesses I probably still have some Republican in me somewhere, and I know you don't, but I don't feel like businesses need to be run as charities. Um, of course, there's a line between what's ethical and what's not ethical, and what's right and what's wrong. But I also don't feel like R-Truth is owed a lifetime job because people like him, you know? So, and to that end, when was the last time he meant anything as a wrestler? 10 years ago? Like when he was actually like in an intercontinental or United States title area of some kind, or a
Hmm.
tag team, I don't know. Like, yeah. So like no, this didn't bug me. I also think he has a lot of problematic thoughts and feelings about Vince McMahon.
Sure does.
And so I don't know R-Truth. I wish him well. I don't have a problem with him personally, but also, yeah, this didn't bother me at all. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we can touch on this later. Like, the company is being sued for sex trafficking. They're named in a lawsuit about sex trafficking right now, and
Correct.
there is like a tenth of a tenth of a tenth of the outrage for that compared to, and it gets about that much air as opposed to R-Truth not getting renewed at the end of his contract when he has been employed by WWE on just this run since like fall of 2007 or whatever. I don't know, man. Maybe we could direct our eye. There are things to hate about the World Wrestling Federation on a professional and personal level. Them letting contracts lapse for veterans who are quite frankly not offering anything, that notwithstanding. I accidentally did a Vince. They're not really offering anything to the current television show is not high on my list of things I'm going to get mad at Nick Khan or Paul Levesque or anyone else for. I mean, not that Paul really has a say in this, let's be honest, but Nick or anyone else. This is very low on the list of things that bothers me or would ever bother me about modern WWE.
Yeah, without question. What do you think just in general of the talent? I think there was talent on Raw on Monday that wore a Carlito shirt in a segment, and I think there was talent that was taking photos in an R-Truth shirt before the show, and then Rhea Ripley, and then apparently was the report is that they were asked to take the shirt off for their segment on TV. Uh, the optics of that, do you care? What do you think? It, it is it actually a talent making a statement, or is it lame?
It's lame.
Thank you.
Look, Dominic wearing a Carlito shirt, a little shout out to his buddy. Fine, like that one bothered me less because I was like, whatever, it's fine. Like, support your buddy, plug your buddy's merch. It'll probably be on clearance or just gone forever on WWE Shop in the next 7 days. So if you get him a few more T-shirts, good for you. That being said, if you're a Rhea Ripley level star and you're mad about something, you could do a lot more than, wearing somebody's shirt in an Instagram photo. You could, like, I don't know, top talent could threaten to not work the show. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not even saying it should happen over something like this, but like, if you're gonna like stand up for your fellow, if you're gonna talk a big game about workers' rights, let's say, maybe you should be prepared to actually do something and not just play for Twitter likes. And I'm not, and I don't know what her motivations, whoever we're talking about here, whatever her motivations might have been. I'd like to think they were very pure in that way, but yeah, that's a game to get social media likes to me, and not using your position in the company to actually try to uh, spearhead any sort of actual change in the way the company does business. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying nut up or shut up about this kind of stuff, guys.
Sure. In my mind, there's probably less than five talent in that company that they don't view as completely replaceable or interchangeable with one another. I think it's probably Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, maybe CM Punk, maybe Rhea Ripley. Right?
Right.
Am I completely out of whack? Is that
No, I was actually thinking exactly about this earlier this week. Parallel thought here, but yeah, I was like, who are like the untouchable? I mean, Cena, but we know he's got an expiration date, so he'll
right?
go in the legends basket with Austin and Brett and anybody else that they, will dust off to sell merch and make an appearance at a WrestleMania. Maybe not Austin anymore after last year, but
Right.
at least we don't let him drive next year. But
Right.
yeah, but so like once Cena is gone, yeah, it's a very, very few guys left that you couldn't just, yoink out of there, and the wheel would keep on turning.
Right. Yeah. That yeah, I don't like anybody losing their job, but I think our truth is gonna be fine. I think he can go work anywhere else he wants to, or he can probably retire. And I don't know about Carlito, man. He made main roster money for probably all told a decade with his runs combined.
Mm-hmm.
And he owns the island of Puerto Rico, so I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, Carlos's boy will be fine.
Yes. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Karrion Cross, apparently his deal's coming up, and there's some kind of psyop going on where people are trying to tell me that Karrion Cross is over. They're piping in crowd noise when he pops in for cameos on Raw. He still can't get a match on Raw. He's wrestling on main event. He did not make the Money in the Bank card. He did not make the Money in the Bank lineup. Is Karrion Cross the next Triple H rehire that's going to find his way out the door next, do you think?
I mean, yeah, because I could see and whatever they're trying to do with him these days on television, again, it's all subject to, Nick Khan and the other bean counters should just look at that and go, we're paying him how much? And what does he do on television? Nah.
Right.
Nah, get him out.
Yeah.
We'll pay a failed college athlete 125,000 a year or whatever to whatever the main roster minimum is now. But
250.
Yeah, to do that instead of paying Karrion and Scarlett, half a million each or whatever. Like,
right.
Yeah. So I could very easily see that. It also does feel like when he's going on, but he's also getting interviewed by like the WWE state media and being pushed by Busted Open and those Fightful people. And there was a specific one of like everyone within 5 minutes of each other was tweeting about the big pop he got on Main Event a couple of weeks ago. And which was funny because the announcers are like, there's a stunned silence over the crowd as in the clip where everyone is tweeting about what a big pop he got. The announcers talking about how the crowd isn't making any noise, which is just a funny bit of like post-production failure, I think. But yeah, I don't know. He seems well liked, again, by his peers and by certain members of the wrestling media. I don't know, man. I don't know what we're doing with any of this. Because I've never seen it with this guy. I didn't see him as a big monster heel when he was in NXT getting the big shove on the dying days of Black and Gold NXT. I thought it was hilarious when he got jobbed out to Jeff Hardy in 2 minutes when Vince finally got a look at him. Then they cut him, and I saw him wrestle live in Philadelphia for New Japan, and people literally did not realize it was Karrion Kross.
Right.
And then he got rehired, and he was in that weird group with all of the other people who have already been released or not renewed, including Paul Ellering, who famously got fired. So yeah, I don't know what we're doing anymore. It feels like a psyop though every time. Every time someone in the wrestling media tries to hype up what a great job Karrion Kross is doing with his character, or what a big reaction he gets, I'm like, Spidey sense is going off here.
Yeah. Yep. Dude, if I start talking up how great a Becky Lynch or Mercedes Moné segment was, like, where I'm coming from, right?
You'd consider the source.
Those are unabashedly right. Those are unabashedly my two favorite wrestlers. Just when you see media hyping somebody up, consider what their motivations might be, or what's influenced them. Anyway, Mariah May debuted on NXT this week. She hasn't gotten a new name yet, but will probably get a new name. We'll see how good the WWE marketing machine is with Mariah May. And how much she was working with really good people and really creative people. What are your thoughts on Mariah May's chances in NXT and in WWE eventually?
I mean, in a respectful way, she's an incredibly attractive blonde woman. So I think her odds are pretty good. I don't know, because like the things that she got over doing in AEW are not things that she'll be doing on WWE television, namely being gay or doing things like hardcore matches with blood and stuff. So she won't be able to do either of those things in WWE. So I don't know. I don't She could very easily fall into the pack. And then once she gets up to the main roster, there is that old like adage of like, will they pit her against the other tall blonde women that are currently on WWE's main roster? Is there a pecking order there? Um
Charlotte's already tweeted her.
mm-hmm. And Tiffany's on top right now, but give it a year, who knows? So I don't
Yep.
know. I guess we'll see. We will see. I think she will be given a lot of opportunities to succeed. But I don't, again, and I don't say this in a negative way, but if you take away the things she was able to do in AEW, which again is swear and have blood and also have like a very intricately plotted storyline made just for her, just to make her into a superstar for 2 full years. Um, I don't know I don't know what she can do just in a cookie cutter WWE system. So it will be interesting to see.
It's a cookie cutter WWE system that has produced some of the most uninspiring, uncreative slop since the end of Survivor Series, really. It's like whatever you thought about the booking of the War Games thing with Punk and Roman and all that stuff, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell at least some thought went into it.
Mm-hmm.
There were things that intertwined across both shows. Dude, I don't know what's going on now. Really, since the end of Survivor Series, at least since the end of Royal Rumble, main roster product, absolute dreck. NXT product, they're trying to serve a lot of masters there. They're half TNA show, half NXT, whatever. It doesn't matter anyway. The main roster stuff is just garbage right now. To me, do you have any asides on that before we preview Money in the Bank?
Not really. Yeah, it's just uninspired. I mean, we're CM Punk and Seth Rollins have been feuding in some way since the night CM Punk got back at Survivor Series 2023. Like
Yeah.
it's just boring. Like it doesn't it's not like horrifically nonsensical, 2000 WCW bad. It's worse. It's like, mid 99 WCW. It's just boring and every show is like a heavy heat thing and it's just not fun.
Yeah. All right. Good. Well, Money in the Bank this weekend. The men's Money in the Bank lineup: Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and El Grande Americano. Did you see how El Grande Americano pinned AJ Styles on Raw this week?
He headbutted him with the thing, right?
AJ jumped off the ropes for the phenomenal forearm, and I don't know if it was supposed to be that he had butted him with the thing. It looked like he just pushed him in the chest. It looked like he pushed him and he got pinned by a push, is what it looked like.
He finger poked of doom. He did a springboard into the finger poke of doom, and
That's what it looked like. Exactly. Yes. Do you have any predictions over who wins Money in the Bank?
uh, maybe. I mean, this is the biggest shove they've given Gable in his career, so maybe El Grande Americano. I mean, Paul had somebody cash in on the U.S. Championship with that briefcase before,
He did.
so he
He
doesn't seem
did.
to particularly love that concept. I think that was a talking point on wrestling Twitter this week, that Triple H was basically never involved with anything related to Money in the Bank when he was a wrestler, and doesn't seem to highly value the concept now either, beyond it being an event to promote. So yeah, I think Gable could win and then cash in on Dominic Mysterio or something. you could do that, or cash in for a tag title shot, or cash in on Vikingo for the AAA belt or something. I don't know. They could do a bunch
Sure,
of like this.
sure. I think Seth Rollins is going to win it again. And
Gross.
we we talk every year about how Money in the Bank should be a gift to the booker, and the booker should look at it as, wow, I have this concept built in where I get to make a new star every single year. It forces you to make new stars. Only they haven't used it like that since like the third year of it.
True.
After since Punk won it the second time, it's been I don't know, man. I guess Jack Swagger won it. they
Yeah, like
they tried.
guys will get like cup of coffee reigns, especially once they had two briefcases for the men.
Yeah.
Like they would like that's how Danielson won the world title the first time. Like guys here and there would get their like little cup of coffee reigns before getting kicked back to the mid card. But to
Right.
make like a true blue star the way it made Edge or the way it made Punk, no, that does that has not really happened. I guess yeah, like Miz, Daniel Bryan, Swagger, those guys, like they got their main event cups of coffee and then ended up right back where the people in charge thought they should be slotted.
Right. It's such a waste. It's a built-in make a new star, strap a rocket to somebody every single year, and they never use it that way anymore. It drives me absolutely insane. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Maybe this is as they pointed out on TV 100 times over the last 6 weeks. Every woman that's ever won a Money in the Bank ladder match has cashed in successfully. So I like the chances of either Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Julia Naomi, or Stephanie Vaquer. And this feels like Julia or Stephanie time to me. What do you think?
I mean, that's what I would do. If we go by the old rules, we don't have heels win both. So if Seth's gonna win the men's, and then you need to put a babyface woman with the briefcase, then yeah, one of the new girls would make a lot of sense. I know a lot of people were into the idea of Naomi winning it because people like Naomi.
Yeah,
And she's trying very hard with her heel character. No one can say she's not trying
she
very
is.
hard.
No, I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, she's much better at it than I think I thought she had the ability to be. To her credit.
Absolutely.
So
My voice is really high for no reason. I'm just really complimenting her.
but she is also not a new star. So that would,
No.
like I said, if you wanted to make a new star and put it on a baby face, then yeah, Julia or Stephanie would be the ones to make. And it feels like maybe Stephanie, because she's just now showing up and she got like the big video package on Raw and everything. It feels like maybe she's got a little bit more steam behind her, like they're a little higher on her. Julia is like, she's been around for like a month and she's done some jobs, and she's doesn't necessarily feel like they're really focusing on her the way they've focused on Stephanie Becker so far. So yeah, maybe I lean Stephanie slightly more for that reason.
I know she has taken English classes and she works very hard on it.
Hmm.
Julia needs a mouthpiece. Stephanie can get by for some reason with limited English or limited English promo ability. Julia cannot. So I think Julia needs somebody to speak for her.
Hey, Paige is a free agent. Remember, she
Why
was
not,
Asuka's
man?
manager for a while.
I had memory hold that. No. I really don't recall that. No.
She was Asuka and Kyrie's as a team. I should point that out.
I have absolutely no memory of that whatsoever.
It wasn't good. You'll be shocked to know.
Like I vaguely remember her being like introducing people or something.
Mhm.
But
She was also a GM for a while, and then she got
no.
fired because the McMahons were running, or because Baron Corbin was running Raw poorly.
Dear Lord. What an absolutely dire time. Back to Money in the Bank. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso will be wrestling John Cena and Logan Paul. Each team has one absolutely washed guy on it. I guess we'll see what Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes can do, huh?
Yes, so this is dire, man. We are in this era of YouTube stars and branding, and it's just like this match is brought to you by TurboTax. Like this is what that screams to
Right.
me.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
they got Slim Jim on the table, the folding tables now. I know you're excited about
yeah.
that.
Oh, it's great. I would hate for even a single second of a WWE program that I watch to not have an ad blasting me in the eyeballs constantly with. Thankfully, that's been remedied by our good friend Uncle Nick.
Yeah. And two Irish women are going to wrestle for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Lyra Valkyria defends against Becky Lynch. If Lyra wins, Becky can't challenge for the Intercontinental title any longer. If Becky wins, Lyra has to raise her hand and call her queen or something like that. Um, Lyra Valkyria, we were talking about this um, off the air this week. Someone was tweeting about how WWE crowds recently have really been wetting a lot of promos, especially when they're given by the women's division.
Mm.
And I said, I think that comment was specifically made with regard to Lyra Valkyria's promo on Raw on Monday, where she cut a very fiery babyface promo um on a heel Becky Lynch who is completely miscast as a heel. And so the crowd either responded with cheering for Becky, wadding Lyra, or just silent when Becky was trying to get her little heel dig lines in. And then they kind of booed because that's what you're supposed to do. And Becky said, "No, I won't fight you here in right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma tonight." Lyra went from being caught up with no plans to winning the Intercontinental Championship to winning the Intercontinental Championship and not being on the show for 3 months to suddenly 2 weeks before WrestleMania winning being the Intercontinental Champion and thrust into a tag team title match at WrestleMania out of nowhere. And then suddenly she's in this program with one of the best talkers of the last 10 years in WWE and one who is super over and super miscast in Becky Lynch. And yeah, the crowd doesn't know what to think about Lyra Valkyria yet. So uh, I don't think it's cool ever to what people, but I also don't blame the WWE fans for not being behind either person in this program because they have no reason to care about Lyra yet. And Becky's hell bent on being a heel. So, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think you laid it out pretty effectively there. I think that's that's a really big problem. I feel for Lyra. I think their last match on the last show, Backlash, was really good. And by the end of it, people were going crazy for Lyra and they were booing Becky. So like it can be done if you really try, if you try really hard. And in a wrestling match context, at least, you can get Lyra cheered over Becky, maybe.
Right.
But in a talking segment, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for someone the crowd doesn't know that well and doesn't care about to deliver a bunch of dialogue. Even like I said, I don't think her delivery was necessarily even bad, but it's yeah, like you said, audience hasn't been given her. She just showed up one week, and then she won a tournament for a belt that none of the real stars care about, and
Right.
here we are. So it's not her fault. It's not Becky's fault, other than Becky wanting to be a heel when she shouldn't be.
Right.
But yeah, I don't. I think they will probably have a very good match again because they're both very talented in the ring, and they will probably get the desired crowd reaction for whatever the finish is, because in that context you can make it work. Much harder to do on a random Raw crowd when one of your talkers isn't known to the crowd and isn't a very good talker.
Yeah. Worlds Collide is Saturday afternoon. Um, the big match on the show is Elio del Vikingo against Chad Gable for the AAA Mega Championship. The Vikingo beat Alberto Del Rio for this past week. A lot of weird matches on this show. Hearing Michael Cole talk about Mr. Iguana on Raw this week and trying and previewing the show is a highlight for me.
Definitely.
The fact that this is on YouTube and not on Peacock or USA or I don't know, feels like it's not a big deal show to me. But I'm sure Vikingo and Chad Gable will have an excellent match. Is there anything on this show that stands out to you that you're looking forward to besides obviously the Latino World Order against Octagon, Aerostar, and Mr. Iguana?
I mean, that genuinely will probably be a lot of fun. So I mean that and the main event sound like a hoot. And then we'll see. We'll see about the rest of this card, I guess. Um, yeah, I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting because WWE historically, no matter what they say when they go into it, when they buy into a new territory about how they're going to present things, eventually decide they want to present things how WWE presents everything else. And it will be interesting to see what that is like for like the day-to-day operations of a WWE owned AAA still trying to run shows in Mexico for the next couple of years. It could be very interesting. My understanding is that the fans were not overly thrilled with Alberto losing the belt, which is wild. But that's maybe just because it's a sign that WWE is tampering with the booking or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, I don't. It's gonna be. I will be interested to see. I think this show is whatever. The more interesting shows will be like when they do Triple Mania with a bunch of WWE stars on the show. What will that feel like and look like, and how will the fans in attendance respond to something like that?
Johnny Ace is flipped on Vince McMahon, if that's the right term. Johnny Ace is no longer in the Janelle Grant lawsuit. He's not cooperating with Janelle Grant's attorneys. This is the second time, I believe, Johnny Ace has flip-flopped his allegiances in this suit. I don't know. I don't know. It's probably wise for him personally.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, this ends with Vince McMahon writing Janelle Grant a gigantic check, in my view. And I don't understand how that hasn't happened yet. Because you need this settled. You should have had this settled a year ago. I don't understand why this,
Wasn't
not that
that
it
kind
shouldn't
of
still be going on,
right?
but anyway.
Yeah. Well, isn't this kind of how the whole problem started? Because he just arbitrarily decided not to pay her the money that she was owed.
Yeah. Yeah, he broke his NDA,
Yeah.
or the terms of the NDA. He breaks every contract he's ever signed.
Right. So I guess my point is that part of the problem may be he is not willing to entertain paying her the number that would get this to go away, because whatever the line in the sand that he has drawn up for himself, that these rich people that decide not to pay contracts that they agree to pay get on, this is just his, like I said, his weird arbitrary line in the sand. But yeah, I mean, it's the Laurinaitis side of it. Awful person by all accounts, just a real scumbag. But yes, at the start of it, his
Yeah.
attorneys were claiming he was a victim, just like Miss Grant, and surely the investigation will reveal that. And then, like a month later, he had joined with Vince McMahon's legal defense, and now a year plus later, he's back out. So I think per the dismissal of Laurinaitis from the lawsuit, he can't be like resued by Grant later. So good deal for him, I think, regardless of what happens, because he's not being sued and he can't be sued again. So, uh, what I don't know. I don't know what smoking guns he would have that would be of great use to them. But listen, anything that makes Vince McMahon's life even a smidgen less comfortable or less enjoyable is that's good news, even if it's also unfortunately good news for John Laurinaitis, who really should be higher up people's lists of like the worst people to ever be in wrestling, I think.
New Japan has Dominion coming up next weekend. Kosei Fujita won Best of the Super Juniors. He was the best of his class of young lions. Very cold product right now. Any thoughts on Dominion coming up? Anything like that?
I mean, again, this is like it's an example of what we've talked about, I think, a lot with New Japan this year is they're doing now what they should have been doing for like the last 5 years, maybe longer even.
Rebuilding?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the top of the card. Yes, it's Shingo and Goto is the main event of Dominion. That's not a fresh match or two young lions by any means, but you also have Oleg and Takeshita on that show, and you also have Gabe Kidd and
Lonnie Donegan.
Yuji, yeah. So Yoda Suji. So
Right.
like those are like your young guy feuds that are seem to be gaining a lot of momentum at the moment, and you have like the Bullet Club guys against the House of Torture guys on the undercard. It's like they've started to move some stuff around and figure out what the next generation of New Japan should maybe look like. The problem is we're already 4 years or 5 years into what the next generation of like these are the guys that should already be
Oh yeah.
big stars now, and unfortunately they're just now
Right.
sort of crafting them into stars. So good luck. Like they're doing the right thing. It's just several years too late.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this years ago, and we had this years ago, and it's still true. I just don't think they could. There's absolutely a lot of things that they could have and should have done differently with booking to build for the future, but also I don't know that they could have predicted basically the collapse of the Japanese economy,
True.
and they would not have Okada or Naito ever again, and that Tanahashi would be retiring and be the company president. Like maybe they should have prepared for any and all eventualities, but also there's some pretty unprecedented things that have gone on that have kind of forced their hand with the economy collapsing there. So yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks. AEW has All In. The first three matches for that show are John Moxley against Hangman Adam Page for the world title. Hangman won the Owen Hart tournament. Tony Storm against Mercedes Moné for the women's world title. Mercedes won the Owen Hart tournament. And Kazuchika Okada against Kenny Omega for both the continental and international titles. As far as top three matches on a show, lineup looks pretty good to me. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame there's going to be like 14 more matches probably added, but when all is said and done. But yeah, no, those are three of this is your biggest show of the year, and you've put three matches. I don't know. I mean, Hangman versus Mox, they've done it before. Maybe you could argue Osprey versus Mox would have been a bigger first time match, but yeah, it's big time babyface going to challenge the long time heel champ. You've got your two biggest women's stars wrestling each other, and then you have the the dream rematch, which you've never done in your company before, that being Omega Okada, like the rekindling of like the most legendary rivalry of modern Japanese wrestling. So yeah, that's a
Right.
hell of a top three.
I think they're at like, I don't know, what are the tickets sold for this thing? 19,000 so far, something like that.
Yeah, it's right around there.
That like that's a totally respectable number for a 41,000 seat baseball stadium or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll sell a lot more tickets here over the next month. But anyway, I don't know. Like the building your own trying to build your own WrestleMania from scratch is very difficult.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they should be they have a lot of flaws, but getting 20,000 people into a baseball stadium for this show, I think is absolutely a victory and should not be not be treated otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this when WWE we talked about it with the Dwayne of it all a couple months ago with ticket sales were bad for that Elimination Chamber show in Toronto, and they had like it was like three-quarters full. Like it was like 28,000 people or something. Like
Right.
we're in the sense. Like that's hardly a failure or like a sign that they shouldn't try to keep going with such an event.
Right.
As much as
Right.
I hate to disagree with my friend Dwayne, whose side I am on.
Yeah. Did you see the little nugget this week about the Gallus guys talking about Dwayne missing a day of practice for his WrestleMania match because TKO didn't send him a private jet?
No.
So, so the Gallus boys got released. Wolfgang and the Coffees got released from NXT, and they sent Wolfgang and one of the Coffees, I don't know, or maybe both, I don't know, to Los Angeles, I think, last year to work out with Dwayne and play the parts of Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in helping The Rock practice for his WrestleMania match. And they're like, yeah, so we got there on a Monday. I think it was Wolfgang who did an interview where he laid this out. He's like, we got there on a Monday, and we go to the facility or whatever to work out with Dwayne, and he's not there. And he's like, I'm not sure exactly what this was, but I feel like it was a rich guy power struggle thing where TKO thought that he was flying himself in on his own jet. And then Dwayne was like, "No, you need to fly me in on your jet." It's like it felt like really rich people problem things, but ultimately we got a free day in Los Angeles on that Monday, and then Dwayne showed up Tuesday. But anyway, great rich guy story of TKO and or Dwayne trying to big time the other by having a private jet standoff that cost a day of practice. That was great.
I love it. I love it. Just a normal guy with normal problems. America's best friend in many ways, that Dwayne Johnson.
Exactly. If you broke down on the side of the road with a flat tire, Dwayne would be there to help you change it.
With the camera crew.
Exactly. AEW's television this week, because of their policy of not going head to head with WWE shows whenever they can avoid it. Collision and Dynamite aired as one 4-hour block as Fyter Fest this week. It was a 4-hour plus Dynamite. It ended at like 12:05 Eastern time on Thursday morning.
What a rib to do an overrun.
Effing believable. I was Look, people don't want to hear you complain about how long shows are. Dude, we don't need 4-hour TV shows ever, 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 ever. We're getting another one next week with Summer Blockbuster. They're doing it. Look, I'm all for. Look, I understand they're trying to experiment with different time slots and what can we do if WWE is going to counter program us constantly and yada yada yada. 4-hour blocks ain't the answer. I don't know, but we got one this week and we got one next week. What did you think of the 4-hour Dynamite this week?
Yeah, unfortunately, and we should note here, for Max viewers, it was two separate shows. At the end, I was like, I heard like
Correct.
the commercial music that plays sometimes when like I guess local ads or whatever are running and Max doesn't have commercials there. I was like, wow, this commercial break's been
Hmm.
going a long time. And then I looked up and it said this program has ended. And then so I had to go out of it and then select the live collision on Max to continue watching that wonderful variety show. So
What a nightmare.
yeah, and they did change the announce desk. So technically it was 2 hours of dynamite, 2 hours of collision. Which I mean, thank God they didn't make Excalibur and Ian Riccaboni scream for 4 straight hours. They might have literally
Ugh.
killed them if they had done that. So they at least did let Tony and Nigel
Yeah.
call the second 2 hours. But anyway, back to your point. That's not what you called. It was boring. I mean, speaking of collision, it felt like a 4 hour collision in that there was some good wrestling across the length of the show. Nothing, I didn't find anything offensive as far as the mini little angles they did shoot, but it was all that it was doing was pointing you to next week's show. Next, to the they booked Osprey. Osprey did wrestle on the show, but it was a tune-up match, and the real match is him versus Swerve next week. And Hangman showed up on the show, but only to kind of further the intrigue of whether or not him and Osprey and Swerve could work together to stop the Death Riders. And it's like Moxley was on the show, but he just beat Mark Briscoe. He didn't really do anything, and I guess had a stare down with Hangman briefly, but Tony Storm was on the show. She wrestled a tag match and then had a stare down. It was just very maintenance. Like we're a few weeks out from the big show, and the next big TV is next week. So we're just not really going to shoot any big angles or try very hard. We're just going to have some wrestling and kick the can down to the next segment until we have contractually fulfilled our obligations.
What I was really angry after the show ended last night,
Sure.
and I was ranting in my head to myself as I was walking my elderly dog all across the zip code for 2 hours. I I was think what is the point of having a TNT championship if it's not going to be defended on a show like this? What is the point of having trios championships if they're not going to be defended on a show like this? And I guess we did get a Ring of Honor four-way TV title match or whatever on this show, but like, why did Bandito wrestle on this show, but there's no Ring of Honor? Like, why do you have all these belts if they're not going to be booked for TV shows like this where you have 4 hours to fill?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like you could have just done mix and match everybody. Like, you know, pick a different guy in the Don Callis family for Adam Cole to beat in the TNT title match while you wait to set up the rematch for him and Kyle. Like, yeah, it would have Mercedes beat whoever, Anna Jay, somebody for the TBS belt. Like
Right.
that's right. Why are we doing this? I mean, Kenny did defend the whichever belt he had. I'm sorry, that's the All Atlantic Championship, which uh actually became the International Championship. It was leveled up thanks to Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods, of course. And they did set up that his match with Okada is winner take all. So maybe we're unifying one of the five men's singles titles. But yeah, there was a lot of filler for a show where I mean most of the stars were there,
Yeah.
but somehow it was still a lot of filler and a lot of, like I said, it's just a 4 hour collision for whatever reason.
All right. I know we covered this once before. Let's just wrap it up with Money in the Bank picks. I'm going Seth Rollins and Stephanie Becerra, and you are going.
I'll do for a point of difference, for a point of conversation, I'll say Grande Americano and Naomi.
All right. Very nice. Well, enjoy all the wrestling, everybody. And is there anything else you want to talk about, Liam?
No, I think that covers we've run the gamut.
once again, we said too much. So till next time, I'm Ethan.
And I'm Liam.
We'll be back soon with more stories from the wrestling life.
Adios.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Now, here are this week's bonus features.
Explain the gay Orioles bit to me, please.
Well, it's Pride Month.
Yes.
And the Orioles are undefeated so far this month. And
Yes.
that is the whole bit. And you either think that's funny or it's not. And I think it is the best. I think it's derivative. I don't know where it spawned on. I started doing it because Jolly Olive, who's one of the personalities on the John Boy baseball coverage, was doing this about the Mets, because the Mets, funny enough, were 11 games under 500 and then had like an incredible month of June and ended up winning enough games to back into a wild card spot at the end of last year. And so they played so well in June, he started talking about the gay Mets and how the gay Mets were unstoppable. And so I'm basically stealing a bit that was done last year from someone else who's funnier than me, but I'm also not the only person doing it. Into parallel thought has happened as people on Twitter are calling them the gay Orioles as well. So, but yes, to my understanding, it's just that it's Pride Month and they haven't lost yet. So therefore, the gay Orioles are undefeated.
Well done. I don't like to get too behind the music in deconstructing jokes. When Jerry Seinfeld does that, it drives me absolutely insane. The serious business of comedy. But I just wanted to know the genesis of the gay Orioles, everyone's favorite president and favorite megalomaniac billionaire shithead have had a falling out. Who could have seen this coming? It took less than 5 months. These are two significant figures just because one is the leader of the free world, the ruler of the free world, and the other owns the social media platform I spend 2 hours a day doom scrolling. At minimum 2 hours a day. But do you have thoughts on the Trump Elon split?
I mean, on some, I am shocked by one, how rapidly it happened and how like catty it got. And maybe I shouldn't be because of what you just laid out, which is that they're two people that famously hate being criticized and love taking credit for everything, and they were forced to be on the same side because Elon wanted to elect a bunch of Republicans that would deregulate the industries that he's a part of, and Donald Trump wanted Elon Musk's money. So I guess it shouldn't be surprising. I guess I thought it would be more like passive aggressive sniping and a shot here or there for a while. And also I didn't expect it to start literally like 3 days after Elon was in the White House getting his "thanks for all your hard work, see you later" press conference with Trump. So I think the speed with which it broke down is hilarious. And then I don't know. It's just like I said, once it was on, it's what these guys always do. It's just, for once, instead of targeting, immigrants or random poor people, or I don't know, a diver trying to rescue children trapped in a cave in Thailand, it's two rich, idiot, moron, powerful people targeting each other for once. So I guess that's nice, in that there are you just hope that they can both somehow lose. Like, I don't know, Elon gets deported and Trump gets arrested for being a pedophile. I don't know, which is an allegation made by Elon today. So you wish they could both lose. Seems unlikely because consequences for guys that rich and powerful don't ever happen. But Yeah, man, it was the most fun, speaking of Twitter, that Twitter has been in like maybe years to me. Maybe since Trump got COVID, when there was a chance when a lot of people were still dying from COVID, that was a good day. Um, the Luigi stuff was good, but I felt like that was kind of drip fed over like a week or so. So I'm like, this was prime posting hours this week when Trump and Elon started yelling at each other, and uh, Trump's threatening to cancel his government contracts, and Elon's calling him a pedophile. It's good stuff, man. It's the best. It's the best that website has been in years.
Something that I never get tired of with Trump, who I didn't vote for either time, by the way, or any of the three times, but just he's the funniest president without question. He's a very talented performer, and but the thing that always gets me is he can emasculate the most fake macho man ever.
Yes.
And they all kiss the ring, and he emasculates it. He's done it with Mitt Romney famously. He'd done it with Elon. He does it with everyone. It's an incredible alpha male move. Even if he's a despicable human being, I admire his ability to emasculate absolutely anyone.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this can only go in Elon's favor, I think, as long as it stays a posting war. Which not even that, because Trump's better at Twitter, even though he doesn't post on Twitter, he posts on his own fake Twitter site. But he's better at that too, but he doesn't do it quite. He's not on it 22 hours a day like Elon is. As soon as like both of them get in front of the camera, Elon, and look, I'm not gonna make fun of like a person for having a stutter or for having like social disorders or anything, but like he's not great in front of a camera. It's part of the reason he wasn't a successful political figure beyond giving billions of dollars to Republican politicians over the last 6 months. So like as soon as Trump's in the Oval Office being asked about it, and he's talking about Elon being so happy to be in the Oval Office for the last few months, and how he was walking around with his little black eye, and he asked him, "Do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup." It's like it's over. Like Trump's gonna like grind this guy in a hamburger as long as it's in front of the camera. Like Trump will grind this little turd up because, as you pointed out, he is the best at that.
Yeah, I've been listening to the Jake Tapper book. It's pretty shallow, but there's a story in there about the infamous Trump Biden debate in 24, where Biden showed up like literally 10 minutes before it was supposed to start. And Trump showed up still late, but like 2 hours ahead of time, and was asking questions about television production. Like, where's my camera? Is the camera on me all the time? Yada, yada, yada. And Biden asked none of these questions and showed up unprepared and showed up late. And anyway, just he understands the medium.
That's right. And at his heart, beyond all the fascism and the politics of the day, he is a bitchy little queen from New York City.
Yes.
And he will body shame. He will be as catty as can be. He will talk about your crow's feet. He will be as snide, and like 50-year-old Italian soccer moms are not as good at cutting remarks as this guy, because it's who he's always been at his core, beyond all the pomp and circumstance of being a billionaire and being the president twice. He's just a catty little queen from Manhattan.
I try to keep on keeping on.